The wall is Detroit.
Detroit.
It is invading you with cellular truth. The sail is a grid, it bites. It tastes of Rhine. The Rhine is a tether, the tether is a word. The word is a prayer, it does not know itself. The Rhine is knowledge, it knows the grid of your mouth. Detroit lives inside. It is solid with industry. Smog is the image of the cell, it is billboard cool.
Billboard.
We walk the High Point Casino rift solid as your teeth. It breeds educated men and women who die at night. They live in the opening of the wall. The wall is their head in the grid of the day. They make love to its image.
They make love.
Its image is fear.
They make love to its image.
They swallow it whole. They float on the surface. They smoke traffic lights and creep into millennium high on necessity. Their memory is a wound with 40-ounce dance sobriety. It is a weapon. There's death on the political grunge of boats. Her art cafe grunge, smelling of cheap flesh and Cadillacs. Communion at 6 p.m., the altar of time. We move like snake oil rhetoric against the grid. Its texture is boxed cheese. Time card rape, it sounds like money. Chance is stuck in the mouth of the city. A holy war of blue team prisons and collages of bullet love. The holy pride of steel. Juggernaut movie-only mesh of jettison nucleus revolution. Storefront misery and little sister's grip. The knowledge of the wall like us is telephone tightrope hustle. Tricks of mythology and canned champs of quick grits and game. Hungry for mess sandwiches of luck. Chasing chance at the gold fin the Coney Island beauty of deep sleep. We wait for light. Amen. The hole in your head is Detroit a stop sign. Movement is skill and fried chance. Fast food prisons of sweat. The grid is rhyme and freeze the Mac money. Anger and rolling your pork joint boxes of meaning glean as paychecks. Lip wrap dances of gas spots, vanilla dreams, and black muscle mysteries of veins. Requiem for needles. Fried into data brew. Lick at the bone of the grid. Wet with desire. Mickey Mouse country bars, multiple shots of rose falling through the hole of suffer to engage. Pedestrian Bible thumping midnight shift screaming jeopardy at the wind. Eyes Rolodex windows of glitter. The way home is scaling a hope. The naked chest of chance, the pork pie slow wit of God. Skin is the coffin slow shaking Monday dice. Aim for the top. The sleep, benediction. Chance is the road to Nirvana. Disc jockey's funk nerves of Sunday, the playground of Jesus. Wet cup messes of five-star hotels, 10-cent orgasm of telemarketing heroes.
Only a dime.
The war roots and techno-themed landscape stage for policies of carcasses. Rusted wine on grid of the day. Images of strangled chance aborted at the mouth. Lucid! I pray to small. Lucid! I pray to small as chance.
Thank you so very much for creating this video. Thank you so very much for playing this video. It's so great to see the room, the Zoom room filling up. Welcome to Horizons in Poetry 2022, which is made possible by the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation. I'm one of your hosts, Owolabi Aboyade. That opening video that we just heard or saw or both was created by Ascended Visions and features Ron Allen's recording, Merchant of the Open Grid, from his CD, Painted Mind Code. This is a continuation, a 21st century continuation of Horizons in Poetry, which was founded by Ron Allen, Wardell Montgomery, and John Mason in 1982 in the Cass Corridor. This monthly open mic series ran for over 2 decades, hosted alternately by Ron Allen, Sharon Smith Knight, and Trinidad Sanchez. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everybody. The Ron Allen Project is a multimedia exhibit reflecting the work and art of poet, playwright, sobriety mentor, and Dharma priest Ron Bodhidharma Allen during the years he resided in Detroit's Cass Corridor. This exhibit will go up in the fall of 2023 at Detroit's Hannan Center and Kayrod Gallery. The grant team who wrote the final submission for the Night Arts Challenge are Carla Harriman, John Jackery, Jim Perkinson, Richard Reeves, and Ruby Woods. Most of us are here tonight, if not all of us. So, shall we introduce ourselves? How would you like to proceed?
Sure. I think we discussed, both of your hosts have prepared some things to read for tonight. I think I don't know if I won the coin toss or lost the coin toss, but I think I'll be going first. I'm Owolabi Aboyade. Excited to share these writings with you, and also excited to hear Carla, as well as our featured reading. And then a little bit later, we'll open the mic for anyone else that wants to join in with the poetry, join in with continuing this poetic legacy. The first poem that I have is called Thanksgiving Dinner at Our House for Lee Derrick, January 1981 to April 1997. I married a woman who said our songs sounded like screaming. I brought her into this house. She held her lips tight as a clenched purse, asked, "Why is your mother screaming like that?" The cats were purring, TV inside screaming, the trees shaking, inside the violent wind. And we sang with the birds. With the birds? Birds who were not eaten by cats. Bullets flew also, relentless, the bloody forks. In getting ready for this event, I found a couple of prose poems that I have written. And it's interesting hearing the video and hearing Ron Allen and kind of seeing what he does with an extended poem. So I have 2 extended poems that I would like to share, and then one more shorter poem to conclude with. The first one is Parable of the Spear for Leroy. I'm a new African socialist. My ancestors were captured by a greedy spirit and dragged across the ocean. Some jumped overboard to give themselves back, an offering to our mother. Some heard the call of lightning and thunder and flew back to the land of our parents' parents. Others were snatched and eaten, so this beast can shit out money. My father is a socialist too, a Black Marxist. He was born a Negro, but at some point said fuck you to the beast that was grooming him to be a snack. Like when you make sauerkraut, you soak it in shit, and it turns into something especially digestible. Unfortunately, the beast began gnawing at him anyway. We all got to make a living. The beast had turned itself into a machine, So rather than being a snack, Pops became a cog. Sometimes he jammed by grabbing hands with gears around him, jammed that fucker good. But his thoughts turned mechanical. All he sees are little machines and big machines. Now he's fighting for our people to be equitable machines, so we all have gas and oil. And he is oh so tired. My mama taught me how to carve. I listen to the wood and watch it unfold inside my hands. There's a tree outside my window. One day, it told me, it will become a spear. My auntie said, get that money, boy. Sometimes I sell a carving, but each dollar in my hand nips my fingers with tiny syringe teeth. I feel the blood drop, the blood drip. My grandma and my mama taught me how to pray. Sometimes they pray to the sun to save us from our sins. Sometimes they pray for the blood that we all may be sacred. Sometimes they pray to the machine to feed us another day, our daily bread. Me, I'm just an unemployed son of the ones who said, fuck you to the beast, as it turned into a machine, as it disguised itself as democracy. I pray to the spear, to my hands, to all hands. I pray to the thrust of the living wood as it jams the grinding cogs, and billions run free and beautiful, and billions run free and beautiful, and billions run free in beautiful, bewildered circles under the sun, under the trees, under the ever-flowing blood. This poem ends with a quote from Richard Pryor. It's been a struggle for me because I had a chance to be white and refused. Richard Pryor. My second prose poem, I didn't even remember this poem, but I just found it in the I don't know if I have archives or just files on my computer, but I'll call them archives. I found it in the mystery box. It begins with a quote from Paula Gunn Allen. I love quotes. I love quotes. They just say little things. I like doing quotes. In the last days, they painted their faces black and shuffled circle-wise, hands locking. He wore a mask every day. The Black man was born into a flat world. In this world, he was under attack at every moment, yet he did not realize it. Or rather, he knew it with every cell of his being, but this realization scared him. And so he not noticed it as often as reasonable. He entertained himself. He tried to fuck. He worked. And when his awareness would twitch discomfort, he would pray the way he saw people on television. Hallelujah. This Black man was confused. He wore a mask every day and talked to his friends via screens and telecommunication devices. When his awareness twitched unease, he would go by the riverside and listen to the sounds of children playing. Tee, he, see Jane, see Dick. This Black man worked for companies. He helped them pour concrete and pave the roads and erect the monuments. He was paid for his labor, a fact about which he was proud. What a first. One day he would run a small company, and after that he would become a billionaire. Self-care. Don't be a sheep like the sheep. With a rage like a world-breaking heat storm or a coastal fire conflagration consuming condominiums, ferociously families fleeing, flying, freeways crashing, traffic clusters, he would show his license and roll up some medical cannabis. At times his blood boiled so high that I can kiss the sky. Each day was a billboard that flashed before his all-seeing eye, up to the sky. The African American, which is what we would become, one night waking up anew. He had fallen asleep a caterpillar, America the cocoon which dissolved him. He woke up moth, looking for light and bright rights in the United States, then fluttered upwards. Black men, Black people were being killed. The earth didn't ask for such a wealth of blood, abundance, profit motive. They gave and gave, overflowing like collection plates. He saw a migration of beautiful colors soaring towards the pale, muted sky. His wings were clipped when his breath would become deep as an ocean that threatened to drown the settlements and resorts that veiled the shores of sleepy towns. Suburban design incorporated villages and pedestrian cities, breaking bones and smashing noses, scarring perfect faces, snatching blonde hair like purses of pedestrians, and scared citizens who clutched their wealth with patriotic anxiety, both hysterical and bold. He would turn on YouTube and listen to kittens batting a ball over biurnal beats. His grandmothers prayed for him. Ambient sounds. They pray, they pray, they pray the devils away. The African-American would become successful. The winds howled, shaking traffic lights, which dashed like feral pendulums above the heads of cars that honked and humans that swerved and cussed. Nigga, get up. Oh, dirty bastard, Ashe, evoked his ancient spells, mediated by corporate grids of power and cabals who placed monuments of cement bishops in public parks to tower over African children who ran and played and cried, get up, nigga, and cussed and teased and held their dogs and flaming hot Cheetos and gulped grape Kool-Aid, cried and pumped inhalers and groped each other, African fingers, asking questions and did not know their powers and flew, get up, like the wind, and sang like the storm and laughter that spread like 1,000 fires, burning down everything impermanent built upon this sweet, enduring, broken earth. Thank you very much for helping me to explore, for listening to these prose poems. This next poem is a little shorter. It's called Divorce Part 2. And part of the context of this last poem is the context of Shango, the Orisha, the deity who carries the energy of charisma and kingship. Stories have it, Yoruba stories have it, that he was actually a human, an actual king that walked the earth who made mistakes that cost his people dearly, so dearly that he killed himself in remorse. Afterwards, it was the love and adoration of his people that elevated his soul, and he became from human to Orisha. This poem blends that cosmology with divorce, fatherhood, and sonship. This will be my last poem. Thank y'all for listening and allowing me to be a part of Horizons in Poetry. Divorce Part 2. I eventually took the roads my father had driven back up to Mississippi. The Southern woman who named me son of Shango, a man who spewed fire, ruled that palace with rage, the one who wore the crown. Only one king in this village, son, the most divine man you'll ever see, he said to all. Miracle, he called lightning. From stubbornness and mere command, careless fists he flung his power and burned homes, bridges, his wives, his own children. Surviving subjects fell at his feet, which dangled as he hanged himself. My house has melted, my family shattered. My son may call so he might visit. I am the rope who deifies his body. Thank y'all very much for listening and allowing me to be a part of this poetic community. I'm Owolabi, and next we have Carla Harriman.
Owolabi, I'm breathless. That was so extraordinary. And I'm trying to imagine what else you have in your archive. Wow. Take a peek every once in a while.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh.
It's such a privilege to be reading with you. So I'm Carla Harriman, a poet, performance writer, and playwright with a few other hats. I got to know Ron Allen in the late 90s. We were friends and we collaborated on some projects. He produced my play Performing Objects Stationed in the Subworld at Zeitgeist Theater, which is the first long thing I ever wrote that was really immersed in Detroit worlds. And John Jackery, who's here tonight, was the director of that play and a long time collaborator with Ron. So Ruby Woods reminded us of Dias de los Muertos coming up, and in channeling Ron, I changed my plan for it was actually going to be a really noisy reading, to something that retains some noise, but is more romantic and elegiac, as I think about the respect for the dead on that day. The poem, which takes about 12 minutes to read, skips around a lot, echoing its title or the behavior of DJs or needles on vinyl. Disc is the title. And it interleaves elegy with an address to the living. And then I will conclude the reading with a short elegiac poem that was written recently. And so I'm just going to begin and go with it. Disc for Barrett. Light finds the slip lost on the bed. Waking hours shiver under glass, resting with chafing sound, worrying, a normal edge, home, away from fiends, flutter, slap and stutter on a spinning disc. Bread is on the table. Our children will abandon us. The spinning disc, its vinyl mode forgotten once, consigned to outer drive, but it came back on its own echo. And I am free in bed. It's vinyl, then. There's you lost in Detroit, hiding under the blankets in the dark with a flashlight. History's shield replaced by new burbs crumbles. Here, that means I'll have to stay. You will too, I lie, so we can get work, and shows me a door. Where there had been the hold of a ship in stated modern times, the needle skips to, the job has to go to somebody. A little terrorist climbs in next to me. We sleep together in broad daylight, and the sun just stays there, the record stuck in a story, accused of causal thinking at church, braving scorn with yellow darning, the ways of religion fissure, turns of fist, then hapless mating fills out a scene, cycling songs, it's still day, jacket, record, but plural, please give me covers as the list must grow, count to zero backwards, in radiant brawl, and some radical waiting, grab some virtues, ghost, moon, pop, the senses theories. It is a rare day in which we workers reflect on what we are doing. Rather, we move forward in the euphemistic sense, avoiding criticism and hope that it will be over soon so that we can live in our heads. How? Or threat from spin and skip, no anchor. I did not read the poem before, loved. The poet slides between my legs just as I reach the end of the rope and let go. Consider this a morning thing between sex and dream. No money would resolve quietly. A key a bit too high on skins, writing above and below as we fall. For how long? Under weights, the blankets kicked while lounging. The news that Bleu, in the prime of life, in his Detroit hotel room of heat stroke, vamp spectacle at this moment paused, or vamp this moment at pause and spin, binding spell resisted quietly, and God knows what this will mean, refurbishing the architecture of the past with new plans for its use. I don't know what ought to be done with it. Let it sit there until it changes meaning on its own, because nobody can live there now. Existential voice leaning on a wand may survive negligence at work, shift, hands such as these keep me out of trouble, I suppose. A frame supports me and some little else, your head or a baby, a pan on the stove, a wrench, shovel, the wheelbarrow and a garden hose, groceries and a suitcase. In the padded dirt, licentious growth of binding tongue with which I lick your neck a little long. Do I need another's text to hear what's in your thoughts? Composition comes from anything I've heard just now, quick-throated birds and their unabridged debate flung over a wild garden shaped like a peninsula or ship decaying in shaved grass, a native lawn that never needs reseeding. The space was mine for a minute, gave it up together, let every block of print be, tax the richest people now, and listen, desire drives the car, but it can drive garage bands too and give the weather a break from carbons. The plaintive butt of protest in a coded excerpt, overworked. We hold each other a little too closely and must know whereabouts with cloying frequency. My other you is you. When you are hard or hardened, the difference here is moving, abandoning our need to slumber for a phrase or so between sleeps. I will fight you over ellipsis, abstraction, love of awkward form. My arm trapped at your waist and my other shoving you in lieu of speech. These slightly violent gestures tie me to the written word, though I am neither topped or bottom and it is not yet noon. Spin, leafy from a knowledge tree, away from symbols, grip and light on matted weeds in a garden that welcomes shut eyes. Those taxes closing in on the wealthy will fuel more war. Absorbed in philosophical distance from experience, hardly breathing at all. A curse on the thugs of sun, blinking at our mating, in morning still damped down, not knowing what saint's death was coming. No needless in the haystack, but Facebook skips to the funeral, divine, buried in burned clouds, routine burrows in salty language, skips to rim of song, some story about letting things change with acceptance without intervention and catching up with the friendship at a later time. Rotated, then squeezed hard. Who is you, you think? We've never met? I stand by my friends on the grass of suspicion. You wave, climb into a toy boat. The tract home echoes the bear of a foghorn in another state. Thug in limo outside, radioing to headquarters, listens in on all alone, whose ghost survived the dislocation. The subject is isolated, then filled with holes in a pilot program. Ejaculations reached in the prism of a mouth, dirty underwater. My heroine holds a fish with her pinky. The instructions here are to not allow politics to be separated from sex or pornography. One floats by and then another on the canvas of a psychoanalytic lake, a bad object dispersed on the gravel of satire. This is the trunk of a fiction. I shall not, node of homosocial behavior, climb its rings in the Ovidian zone. The animal kingdom, demilitarized, flourishes during periods of political compromise and negligence, such as this one turned to stone or stove. Where did I get that fury? The straight line of narrow road in front of our abode confirms passable, blousy, as a sentence in distress finds its goal in love's net, tuning her instrument overlong, filling the small space with chimes while it's misting out of doors. Motors stop running. People want to know your age. And if we're a couple, soggy applause doesn't change the weather long. My performance is a come on, a sleeve covering a bath I took in public. In the wash, it comes out. Wait, on team, looking under the hood for longer than is warranted, swathes me with A sharp minor, helpless as a book or hapless as a fugal horn in a concept piece, windows splashed with sentences tumbling, futured out as old verbs drying to seed, shaved trees out of the water, blown. How many verticals can I replace with curves? Before my time is up, I prime, estimating the days left to calculate the error margin. The sun is in its proper position with each sentences okay to transgress or lick now something you didn't like yesterday. The bloody rioting stop if you can't make a cause. Is it about me? Yes, but no one can any longer has the authority to say it. Class in no society, privacy is everything, no longer lured by laughter. Rilke, children spilling class secrets in public will go another round, cluster of things the object promises, such as a sidewalk and free candy to watch live action unfurl. The children's riots of 2011, which were in England, called a return to difference. And Wisconsin farmers plow up Madison. We've struggled over a kiss, sadness in a lovely blue skirt, a woman rocking on the porch in cold shadow, just as the sun pitched, strengthens resolve to give Eros her due in an image less given over to couples than to assembling. Friendship on your finger pales, and I faint a little in the muscular of fantasy, yours for the taking, or yours in its entirety, mine for a minute. Then downstream mythical figures rise to greet us with our oldest doubts, an eye monster and a mouth tail out, tail hand out, ATM cards to lovers lounging on the rocks, an eye monster and a mouth tail hand out ATM cards to lovers lounging on the rocks. You and I observe all this as if we aren't among them, splashed on Spicer's furniture, ghostly plumped behind the hat rack next to a box of screws. Jack, we'll give this scene a little time, but I'll take you tomorrow, whipped around, echo, little death, and ripped scene. Thanks to none, we've gone too far again, a hospital in which no one is sick or injured. The queue outside is around the building. Our breath fogs up the trees, reckless dispatch on the coals. Leaves for futures burning to give back home. Smother and smudge, I'll take and go. See you next time. Everything stated lingers for longer than you or I. That's the so-called science of new love Ovid had recognized in the rock cliff Niobe. But who was it looking over her shoulder forever, perched on the thread of a mobile, ahead and behind, we're twirled, then echo turned to stone. I want to keep you with me on the next track, wobbles in the voice pitch we used to call it at the bay, wooed by bird in marsh, our banter best under pressure, or some theory about conjugal contradicts mating vibes, living in 1,000 flapping wings, darkening hills, though the sun is not yet setting. Indeed, it seems to have gone back the other way to noon, repetition, chaos in the crowd of our elements. We both saw it once. Can't talk forever. Leonine. Sadness, rather, slides up the coat I'm petting. Shed water runs to trough. A pig's doctor holds a prod. Save it, and I'll be. His wife turns the station dial on the car radio. We're animals. Heads bowed over teapot, then mopping the floor with our snouts, nozzles aflare, forgetting the dumbest songs, those most frequently played, play of plays, now starring horse and fly, lifelong partners on two stations. Dirty, sweet, here's an appetizer for your raunch, parataxis, praxis, taxed, then furrowed with morning glow. Sorrow regains the pleasure palace, turned to sweets ingested army fashion. Against time and distant scales, time be time as ours, without spilling hate, but drops of sweat in an alley of potted plants and native growth. We will speak with fragile authority and a wish to see the future in a generous mood, jumping from one rock to the next on a jetty as years that have themselves leapt, the ceiling fan switched off, then on bare arms, lightly covered shoulders, the off kinks coolness of in situ, in a species of torch song, taking itself seriously enough to not push it on the other. Lover is the other, former love returned. The warbler trumps, machine of words, and a laboring device. And then I'll close with this little dialogue poem called Echo Sun, which was recently written in memory of Atal Adnan, who was who grew up in Lebanon from a family that had immigrated there from Turkey and other places, and then ended up a kind of world traveler who lived in the United States, where I met her, and Europe. And she died at the age of 96 last year, a poet, philosopher, and visual artist whose artwork was quite minimalist and a kind of landscape abstraction with very simple and compelling uses of color. And so I recommend, I'll put a little link up to her work on the chat later. There was to be, it's called Echo Sun. There was to be an epiphany, but it slipped out of my sun. It slipped through mine as well. Do you think it was the same sun? Each sun is a distinct sun. There is no same sun. Even when they are both red, there will be an ellipsis. When they are red and when they are missing, it is not possible to possess the sun. A sun, singularity fades within the absolute. That sun is self-evident. I suppose you are referring to the word sun. An elliptical night slipped out when the shadow it cast went unobserved. It doubled the sky. A quadrangle distinguishes it, and a shadow followed a sun and tangled in matter a word next. Its shadow striking an echo multiplied, and the vision slipped out of my sun as well. What I can't possess as she makes her way, the epiphany or the sun, the heat from incisive colloquy of one and another shields her along, sending among. So thank you. Thank you for listening to that fairly abstract work that I read today.
Thank you, Carla, for taking us on a journey, on a few different journeys with you, on a few different poetic journey. I know that our featured poet is going to take us on some journeys as well. After we're done. Yes, after we're done. We've, myself and Carla have shared some of our work, and after our featured poet, Aether Bleu, we'll open the mic and have people be able to sign up for open mic. If you would like to put your name and the word open in the chat, anytime between now and the end of the feature. If you would like to share some writing, share some remarks in the open mic, put your name and the word open. So I've been asked to announce that this is our 5th and final Horizons in Poetry 2022 for the year. We began the series with Horizons in Poetry veteran Simaj Brown. Then we lifted up Broadside Lotus Press by presenting and hosting 3 different recipients of the prestigious Naomi Long Magic Poetry Award, Dr. Sandra Staten Taiwo, Jaquise Armstrong, and Malika Favorite. And today we are completing the cycle with another veteran of the original Horizons in Poetry series. We are here tonight on Sunday in order to free up parents and anyone else doing children or other Halloween night activities. And Carla is going to introduce and present our featured reader.
Good evening again, and I'm thrilled to introduce Aether Detroit Bleu, who is a cosmic gentleman, a doctorate of dissonant harmony. Bleu is a vibration of thought, sound, and color. He has performed all across the realms with infinite sentient beings of the cosmic community. Bleu is a poet, artist, author, playwright, and media graphic improvisationalist who blends a fusion of acoustic and electronic instruments that transcends the mundane into a peaceful and lively vibration. Aether has created a video to open his set for us tonight. Thank you so much, Aether, for being here.
Science is roots and herbs and greens, nuts and fruits and seeds, healing from the heavens and the honeybees. Mad science is chemicals, concoctions, and synthesized unnatural things. So do you for whatever brings you peace. I choose not to put anything in that's not there, that doesn't belong. Not saying I'm right or you're wrong. I just prefer acoustic alchemy over random robot songs. I don't need a primary nor any booster shot. All I need is prayer and the word of my God. Definitely don't need no mad scientist trying to do his job. If I leave this earth, whenever it happens, it will be on time. It will be because of the All-Father and not anything other than divine. Definitely not COVID-19. The way it used to be is now just a six-pack of Stella. Solstice memories. I didn't run the streets. Whenever I walked them, I didn't get caught up. Nobody bothered me. Crosses of peace. If you ever carry one, especially for him, all your sins will be forgiven. Cause Lord knows we was out on the hog living, hood right, night bright, in the street lights. The mayor set a new standard, Detroit Cool Motown School, where Riri got her RESPECT and Marvin dropped dime on ecology. This city, temple of visionaries, awakened many as emissaries whenever and wherever we found it necessary. By any means, Detroit, we put the world on wheels, gave it its rhythm to ease on down the road. Wrote the soundtracks of life, Renaissance, our center in Cobo Hall. The Brown Bomber still stands, even though they tore down the Joe for no reason at all. Pandemic changed everything, even though Obama was called. Exit sign 94 West, traveling east, all aboard y'all. Come on and ride across Mac's back and lay down your burdens down by the riverside. Ride the giant slide, park the mothership in our plaza on the fountain and go to different worlds. Pimp down Mac in a Cadillac, bring that Motor City Freeway B-Boy galactic facts, but the facts, Detroit never left. We always right. Whether you on some gangster-ish or the life of the party, wherever you go, the people always know Detroit is everybody. I like to see my reflection. She helps me see all of my beauty in spite of my blemishes. She reminds me of the countenance of my destiny. She embraces my humanity so I can live through the sadness of my acne and razor bumps, still reminding me how handsome life still is, even though it grays and fades to black. I like to see my reflection because she speaks the vision of my truth, reminds me of the wisdom of my youth, catches tears before they fall so as not to smear her mascara, because unless absolutely necessary, no one wants to see a grown man cry. So we weep with the willows on Bleu, even those who've been stricken by the lightning storms, for they still provide shade from the blistering heat of emotions, and the river catches our teardrops to carry them out to the seas of more of life's many more golden opportunities. Garçon, devant vous s'il vous plaît. Listening to Miles, he said I fall in love too easily. But there are only 7 steps to heaven, so I just thought you were a classic glass of wine. I had decided that I just wanted a few sips. Nothing to fall down the stairs about, but something to gaze into, like a clear night full of stars, reflecting from deep within your soul, and calm walks through the garden hand in hand like memories by the river in spring. Sunrises, broods singing in our dreams. I anticipate the summer much like the winters because I'll still drink my coffee and tea while the cool winds whisper sweet melodies. Now I'm smiling. Can you see me? And I don't want to be too precocious as I put this glass to my lips, but I often wondered, was it as sweet as yours? Yeah. I'm heavy on the pour because what I feel and have imagined is bliss. even if all we decide on is just a kiss. My innocence may be deceiving, but my reverence is worth believing. I've been in love with you for quite some time, like when you first shined in the sky when we said, "Let there be light." And your smile was just as bright as it is now. That is, if you're still down. I'm writing all this to say I've liked you shining in my sky, as all days and all these days have gone by. I'm just curious about the thunder and the rain. So pardon me if the muse has become the mood of this movement, but sometimes my imagination can get the best of me. The things that are real to me are not quite what others seem, so their realities become merely a figment of my imagination, where I can dream them to be whatever I need them to be until their realities fade. Some I've embraced, others are just a painting on the wall or a video clip of what could have been. Man, cause je serai pas. Some will say he was just miles, all blues, kind of blue, chasing you in this illusion called America, where most dreams are deferred to melancholy and suicide because they believe more in others than they do in themselves. Searching for solace, most now are curious about the same other side until they realize that either way you go, there is equal heartache and headache. I'm not speaking from experience, but observation, peace of mind conservation, and as messed up as this world is, I'd rather live in my imagination, because it's a much better place. Music knows no color lines, unless you're covering the door. Then only greenbacks and dead presidents get in. But the sounds are our soul's connection to where and when we are. That's right now. Me and my acoustic abstract has colors some may not see. If you feel it, you're connected beyond the mainframe, where you smell the rhythm in your car, tasting the flavor of nine in its root prime in your eyes, and you trance like a shaman priest on a quest to heal the world from spirit famine and silent drums, to awaken ancestral muses, exploring the construction of basement pinnacles and celestial pendulum suns. I dance with spirits, cry in the ethers with angels for man's forgetfulness of the mystic ways. But if you listen, you can hear the inception of vision within the many dreams that speak beyond digital realities into forests of radical abstracts. Purpose beyond the mainframe, into the very essence of the binary soul, bending time and space, reaching thought hyperions and macro quantum vortices, where knowledge ciphers begin to spin and expand into the ether blue, where dimensions shift to walk through oblivion like elementals of perception.
Never speak of struggle, or you may still burn for Christmas. Only speak of triumph as you chew belief and climb branches high into the altitude and stratosphere of gratitude. Grapefruit, apple blossoms, and blue beaches on a highway just below the River Jordan. Speak of victory like gardens of sweet peppers and sun, onions and gardenias battling for reflections of kente and mud, regally adorning elders in noble transmissions. Speak of love like infants, swaddling in ancestrally calloused fingers and busted knuckles with buck and jasmine, oiled in shea butter to make sensualities complacent in the slow gas of the gather. Speak of time as relevant as falcons in metropolises perched on steel and concrete precipices, feeding their young at the mob of city ducks and crew on asphalt nets, and of chicken wire and fiberboard for processed global stewardship, conglomerate culture of synthetic symbiosis. Speak of blessings like baptisms, bar mitzvahs, crossroads, and shahada. Burning candles, incense, sage fuses. Darkness comes before a new dawn, for today is every day right now, yesterday, tomorrow, last week. Sunshine endures thunder, light, rain, for green pastures and rivers of ancestral cosmic waterways that flood the plains of tyranny to liberate the land shackled by oppression. So all of us people of the sun can be nurtured in the light of much brighter days.
That was a project I put together for this program. It was spontaneous when I was asked to be a feature, and it's an honor. I'd like to thank everyone, Ruby, the Knight Foundation, and really the whole entire poetry community of Detroit and Horizons and Ron and everybody, especially because without poetry, I don't know where I'd be today with all the crazy stuff to be going on in my head. Sometimes it gives me an outlet to express myself It's not always all crazy stuff, but some beautiful things as well, as you probably just seen. But it's a gift to be able to have an outlet. And what I'm going to read for the rest of my time is a few tributaries. And the first one I want to read, I met Ron. Well, this kind of explains. Somebody asked me, when did you meet Ron? And I was like, no, I couldn't recall because I don't never remember not knowing Ron, except, childhood before poetry. But Ron has been like in my blood, So this piece was kind of like I had a conversation. I think it was either with Jim or Ruby. I can't remember. I think it was Jim. And this is where this came out of. Ron is reality all to himself. Novocaine ego in the mouth of causation. History reverbed in a pot of greens. Fried chicken and macaroni and cheese. Coffee and Coltrane. Monk Mondays and fractured spleen of idioms. He gave me the dissonance to harmonize black holes and thunder. Pieces of the parallels that permeates pimp sandwiches and Kool-Aid. We read him the Riot Act, and he produced methane-induced wig trips to Ganymede so we can spit hot lava in the funk of the mothership. Yeah, Ron Allen is reality all to himself. No mind gorilla in the frequency of zero. Orishas, Buddha chanting incense, candles, and cowbells. And this next piece, I was inspired by Jacquees Armstrong when I listened to her reading I think it was a couple of sessions back, and I was just moved by not only the poetry but the story she was telling about where she was at in Mississippi and living. And so this is what came out of that. Silence is the word of the thought, speaking stillness in the motion of stop signs, yielding to one-way streetcars of desire. Bop is meditation, bebop medication. So we pop pills to ache our pains and revive our impulses. Munchie craving, we foam cake with frosting simply to spark infatuation. Always wondering who robbed the priests of their wives in the first place. She, regal earrings and holy moles, let me know she was a child of God, speaking Dunbar, Wheatley, Langston, Armstrong songs, beyond stolen jazz legacies, presence in the now of Mississippi, dark like midnight, cold train, night train, Thunderbird, drunk off of wordsmith into stainless steel truths. We sober up to unspoken words said in metaphor on reels of platinum imagery, canvas of ears, still to wade in the water, still water run deep. So we float on. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. The next few are tributaries as well. This one is for Mama Neb. As you know, Dr. House, a lot of us are as they say, have multiple dimensions to us and whatnot, a lot of different names through our transitions in life, where we go from one accomplishment to another. And so I wrote this for Mama Neb about when she first started using Mama Neb, Coach Cecily, and everybody was still calling her Gloria House. And so this is how I wrote this one. Holy temple for a Neb. They just won't let you be free of your previous place of residence. Don't blame them, because they know it's a holy temple, a glorious house. They just have never met the Holy Spirit inside, known by another holy name. And this one, I had went to Trinosophy years ago, and as you know, I'm a musician as well, or a musical explorer, and I hang out with the cosmic music community. And I wrote this one about Kenny Green and the guys. They were playing and jamming, and I think this particular time they were at either Trinosophies or the Artist Village. I can't remember, but I remember how I wanted to be up there playing with them, and I wrote this while they were playing on a notepad. Green, Aknik, the tone tech divination of indigo and Majnun moons. Where is the trumpet talk? I have not my trumpet to talk, but the horns say nay, brassically in unison of crude. Time tempest, whispering, thinking in want of jazzmen or Billy's blues. But these brothers are miles ahead in the rifts, beyond all the stops of the coal train stations. But where is my trumpet? It is muted out of these tunes, even though the keys are green. And one more for Aurora Harris. And this is called The Brightest Light, Aurora. Unseen force of light, northern only by location of borealis beauty, hidden by and within the dark recesses of the egos of all of those who have failed to recognize the torch that still ignites the fire on the tongues of all those who still see the need to burn this house down. And I had one more for Ron, One Bowl. I read this at his homegoing celebration. We chanted and chanted and chanted in the apartments until all our neighbors joined in to smell the sandalwood, sing with the bowls, and light candles until we became the flame. And I got one for Owusu Malad, who made his transition not too long ago before Brother Ibn. And I'm going to try to sneak his in there as well. Who knew Owusu would have the voodoo to help me do what I do? True to the muse, pitch black, love circles, and poetic tact. Tomorrow, when we ascend, we might do it all again with new trends. And I wrote one for Willie Williams. Willie prides himself in not being a technocrat, as I'll say, because a lot of people are into technology. Willie likes to shun away from all this technology, cell phones and computers and stuff. I don't know if he has one now, but this is called No Cell Phone, No Internet, Only Paper, Pen, Pencil, and the camera flash. Crossing this bridge, connecting rhythms and signaled word siren, the camera flashes. And if Willie wills, I am. I'm going to read this one for Ibn. Get the note like so. I drove past the area where those that feared you trespassed against you. They are no more, and I refuse to call its name. That evil place is gone. No more faded egos dressed up in cousin costumes. You outlived their residency. Yet now the ancestral corridors, halls of Amenti, welcomes a warrior, an elder statesman, esteemed in the arts, Aaron Ibn Pori Pitts. Cool, calm, collected, hip to it, vibing in the interdimensional nexus. We call it Detroit. One more. This one is I wrote about it came out of if I could find it. I thought I had it queued up, but I'll read that another time. But I'll read this how much time do I have?
You're good.
Okay. I'm gonna try to find it. Sorry about that. I'll read another one. If it just to give you an idea of my work, all of my poetry and a lot of my poetry anyway is on my website, ascendedvisions.com, and it's under the store. If you go to the store in the drop down piece of pie books, a lot of books are there. They don't cost a thing. They're free to download, and you can read them right on the site. And some of them are profane. I don't really apologize for it because it's just my therapy. But and this is how I deal with my issues, like I said before. This was from a relationship I was in and didn't quite work out. I'm still in love with her. But that's it. It didn't work out. But this was, excuse me, some cherished memories that I'm glad that I saved. It's called Dream Echoes. This is by She and I, collab. Time traveling. The night seems longer when we share space and existence. Intimacy's endless as the pendulum swings in our favor. It's been years, but every day I feel like a kid again, since grins and concentrated hugs. Sincere grins and concentrated hugs. Emerald dreams, multifaceted, vibing higher. Dream echoes, peering through the windows of the mind. See the visions of tranquility. Listen to the love. Hear the understanding. Transcend the paradox. Embrace the parallels. And I'm gonna read. I wrote this one the other day when I work, and we were contemplating. I was listening to. I listening to a lot of the rap and whatnot these days, and it's a lot different from the old school rap that I came up with, and even of course, going further back with my music that I really love, jazz and fusion, the blues, and all the root music. And I wrote this one as a response to what I was hearing on the radio or Spotify or whatever today. It's called Gangster Soliloquy. Hear ye, the average rap life expectancy is 45, but that's just statistics. Check the ballistics if you have a 45, spinning in the chamber or turning on the table. Everybody wants their kids to eat, just not bullets. But this is the harsh reality of the average gangster soliloquy. You either die by the police on the beat or by the streets trying to eat. Money, cars, clothes, hoes trap you in the game. Seeking grandma's another no good nigga fame, but you paid her to look for the love to look the other way. So tell me, is this the only thing our kids have to look up to today? Oh yeah, in sports and academics, it's even worse or the same way. Politicians pushing gender flips, switching at a very young age, and we wonder why they are so crazed with rage. How many more churches have to be built to preach the gospel of deliverance? How many more mosques must be erected for hell's severance? How long must we chant before Babylon falls? How many temples must sound the trumpet before we hear the final call? Some say these are the last days and the earth has to be shook. Who knows whose names are in the Lamb's books? They say get vaccinated so everybody got their shots. But for the sake of Africa, should leopards really change their spots? I think not. The blocks are still hot, too hot. Too many gangsters and road cops. You got to go to the mirror to call on a God. Ministers, teachers, professors all mature at 13 to produce crops. Snatch them all up from the devil by then, and the spin of the cipher stops. And that was from, I had heard a little 11-year-old boy, I guess he was being mentored by Al Sharpton. And he sounded real good to me, sounded like he was coming from the heart. He didn't sound like he was trying to be older than he was. And he sounded really good. I forget his name. I should have remembered it. But he moved me. And that's when I wrote that piece. And I'm going to close with this last one here.
All right.
The Machiavellian narcissistic psychopathic oligarchy dictates that when in the jungle, you feed a lion. Don't try to tame him or he will eat you, or you'll have to kill him. And even he has pride. And if you don't stroke the kitty, she will eventually scratch and bite you too. So you got to learn. You can listen to the lyrics, but you shouldn't want to have to live it, to realize with your real eyes that you might not want to see your demons in the mirror. I couldn't paint the pictures any clearer. Real niggas are true and living gods. From a human's perspective, you'll probably still get stepped on if you don't read the cards. But for most, like me, it's best not to even get in the game. There's more to life than a pack of cigarettes, bullets, cars, cash, fame, and hoes. All I ever wanted was a family. In the natural way, love flows. Thank you.
Thank you, Aether.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your video, your tributaries, and all of these expressions. It's a beautiful gathering. I feel like I've known you for maybe almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah.
Long hairs collective.
But compared to many of the other relationships here, that's still just a short time. So this is just a beautiful, a beautiful network, a beautiful legacy that we're here.
Yes, sir.
We have open mic folks that signed up, and also, and after the open mic, if folks have questions for conversation or for discussion for Aether, Bleu, we'll use the remaining time for discussions or questions with our featured poet.
Also, I will remind people to look at the chat for the links that Aether put up, the Ascended Vision, and then there's also another Spotify link, and I'm going to put up a link in a little while as well. So thank you so much. And so I don't have the list of people who are reading. Do you?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay.
Our first poet has been alluded to, has been given a tributary, and it was beautiful to hear this person step up and volunteer to be our first poet in the open mic. Please give a welcome to Jaquise Armstrong.
Thank you. Okay. All right. I have two semi-short poems. The first one is called Agency. It's my response to Roe versus Wade. Agency. We are invincible, having come this far in progress. We are indestructible like a baobab tree. And it was never about abortion. The clutching abolishment of a ruling that had to trump even a child's cry for the right to life, taken in cruelty while all casually observed, not the sanctimonious moans about unborn masses deserving chances they deny most living souls, the right to care for full-grown adult fetuses' health, discriminated against without concerns or reservation. It was never about abortion. Agency. Agency over mates, once again. Agency over us. Property no longer, but can be physically destroyed or kept from ever conceiving or kept from progress. Agency over political power. Agency over anything in proximity to white, patriarchal, supremacist bodies. The arc of justice swung a little too far, in SCOTUS' opinion, and derived from a place where we never mattered openly first. Because it was never about abortion. Transplanted in time, I hold and rock some female ancestors forced to birth and birth and birth like clockwork, with babies stolen for sale in the mothering of a war against reproductive autonomy, freedom, and justice, forthcoming always, like we look for light in this darkness of day we call democracy for now. And ancestors, long gone but still living, tell me, they make laws to control a body, but they cannot possess the mind. And it was never about abortion, but we are invincible. Having come this far in progress, we are indestructible like a baobab tree. Burnt, we heal. Bark stripped, we regenerate. We carry on. And we only choose when we collapse. And in collapsing, we don't die at all. We simply vanish. Thank you. So the last poem I want to share tonight is the title poem of a collection that I just finished. That's an autobiographical collection about my mental health journey. It's called Survival as an Act of Resistance. I find myself inside the comfort stupor of blues, nursing some pieces broken I've crawled the earth's surface to find. And I emerge like complex jazz riffs naturally, entering through the great ray of the blues, because some pieces remain lost and some pieces won't fit and some pieces are broken and need to be creatively derived into something new, something improvised, something of the moment, because life's evolution is without notice, and all this composed as a choir of ragged, raging voices provide a score. I lost my voice in a mirage of auditory hallucinations. Ancestors lost their names in cultural shock on these shores. Heard her singing colors like a rainbow she used for a jump rope, A piece of herself was missing, so she smiled and then she laughed. Her hands turned strong and calloused, some deprived innocence. They held no consequence. A quiet despair from forced degradation of an elusively powerful culture followed. She hid her culture in sounds, in visual incantations, and mind rhythms of the soul. She birthed the blues. There is a lacking when you can't identify yourself or do it proper. You seek into unconditional pretext, a world of few boundaries. You're lost, you cradle like your baby because you don't know who you are. And I, in deliverance to rewound time, disassociate, find myself circling like an anxious buzzard over my own body. Hear her misery, bow my head. Humility leads to hope. But I have hurt for so long, I just want to make it home. Home where my blues blossoms original language, and the jagged rocks in my mind's river no longer prevent the smooth equation-bound thought I deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you shared and everything that you hinted with us today. Let me find my list. The second poet. Okay. The second poet we have coming to our open mic is Mary Lanphier. Please give a warm welcome. I hope I said your last name correctly.
You did a good job. Okay, are we just reading a couple or something?
Yes, approximately 5 minutes, a couple poems.
Okay. Well, the first one is one I think Ron would have liked. Ruined Girl. Ruined girl lives in broken windows, smoking memories of sunshine. Her form, drawn tight in lines, circumcisions. Cutting fingers, vocal cords, she can't say no. Her blood on ice, a prism of hatred and love. The dark breath of rage burns the heavy spice of suffocation. The muse of demons, she was touched with secrets. Ruined girl has stories tattooed on her feet. She joyrides on rainbows, her laughter is broken. The black of her eyes knows the moon. The shards of her windows know the light. Her heart pierced with wisdom bleeds stars across the sky. And I wasn't going to read this one tonight, but this was a poem I wrote the day after the 2016 election when I saw what was coming. And here we are 6 years later facing another election, and it just seems like it's still happening. Genocide. I needed water and there was no water, only poison. And another day of anger crushed like my fingers in the bright factory where I spent the nights. Until I was forever gone as my brother shot dead. But blood does not count. Just another day of cleaning the edges, of hope and explosions, of anger, more anger, just anger. I see no welcome, only empty sandwiches churned out by ashen fingers, hermetically sealed like the coffins we can't pay for. Life support withdrawn because we have no money. For life, only war and the triumphs of the better man. But some of us were better men, or women left alone now, with a single cup of tea and government cheese, counting the pennies left. We are products of the lesser evil, grown on a diet of fear. Our minds seethe violent, or stop in a comfortable place, waiting for salvation, eyes closed against the bright colors of the foreign, the other standing next to us or knocking at the door, just as we don't know our children when they open their empty mouths. Thanks. It's nice being with some poets on a Sunday night.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, for bringing us into these thoughts, bringing us into these depths, bringing us into these realisms. We have a third poet on the mic. He's been to a number of these readings before, and so it's always good to see what he will share with us in this space, and is part of the teams that is making this possible. Please give a warm welcome for Jim Parkinson.
Thank you. Good to be here. And since Owolabe opened the archival door, this is back from the early days of hanging out with Ron. It's called, and it's a riff or a response to the time of the year we are in. So it's called Hieronymus Bosch Bone Vision, riffing on Ezekiel 37, otherwise known as Dia de los Muertos, or in my own Irish Celtic background, Samhain, when the veil between the community of the dead and the living gets especially thin, and there's a lot of traffic back and forth. Noise on the rise, bone clinking, bone delirium, ghost struck click, coming to the edge of a wake where teeth bark. Socket slam, lock of socket, like a blade waiting for meat. Blood bone possibility of breath, stretched like spirit bellows over vertebrate serrations. The skeleton rib rises like a soft army. Clink, clomp, click, whoop. Supine spine shout the vertical, the skull grins. Here again, I'm back. Peasant throat cut, woman rape, strangle, airborne baby bayonet practice, child labor stink, old man tumor crust, grandma in the dirt death, young man in the morgue lament. We're all back like tibias of truth talk, rioting to attention, ready to walk. Clunk, bonk, whoop, clop. Here we come, in your head, on your pillow, germinating the end of thought, ratifying hell as the inside of dream. Your myth is happening at midnight. Your suburb grows from a grave, and the casket lid is opening. Your 4x4 is a rubber-wheeled reincarnation of Chico Mendez memories and WTO mufflers and Putumayo minor parts and African labored engines and Berber brake lines and Taiwanese tailpipes smoking Ogoni oil, compliments of Shell and White House ideas of supremacy and Bill Gates philanthropy served up on the news at night where the dinner is digits and the dessert is $sign, and your own body sweats out the hook line you swallowed that day to silence your terror. Yes, we're here again, coming back like vision, rising inside your thigh, dripping from the cerebellum you can't suffocate because it is your own. Hieronymus Bosch, epiphany in the valley of dry bones, coming back home, inside your own living dust, giving you a choice to speak like Ezekiel or blow away. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you as always. Our fourth and final open mic feature is a steady presence here in these readings, a steady presence in the planning and operations and all the different things. And it's good to see her go from behind the scenes to in front of the scenes and share some of the creativity. So please, Ruby Woods, take us away on this open mic.
Thank you so much. Tonight, I am going to read again some Ron. specifically from Neon Jawbone Riot, I had not read very much of his work from this particular book. So when I was thinking about Samhain and All Souls Eves and Dia de los Muertos, I found this poem, Eulogy, and he doesn't delineate that it's about the Detroit musician Beans Bowles. However, it's quite apparent that it is. Eulogy. Beans is a hot song, priest infernal weapon, loose on the world an exploded eye of moon shrapnel, an erupted verb, channeling shriek nerve, bouncing melody, wicked rhyme master. Beans is a prophetic oracle griot, module setting the flame reed of poison pesh war, of nocturne mosaic Motown motion, a missive of screaming dance, a zooming lip invocation, invoke Yoruba, his story of boot dance Africa, a stomp of laughed note talk, Beans, a refract cat of prison food, in your mind as rope knot bark of cadence, a romance salesman of hunted dreams scatting in shellac wall seams, seamless blood, a war of gristle fang peace in ministry inside the beat, multiple missile man, a note falls and hangs, the resounding minute of pulse, hanging like a fragrance, like a shoot miracle, a temptation, moment inside a beat, both hands erect in bebop time, feeling not hanging like God twisting in smoke, room, black smoke, Beans dreaming the muse of Friday, the wicked stitch of America, found fragrance in Beans' mouth, stepping on slick beings now is him, man, ripping the time, shredded page, rooster, strut now, infinite as change, strut now in brazen shop around beat, in the room shrunk mind of life, step Beans, walk like a running warrior of new beat, boom, shaboom, in the lip, sugar lip, snarl of freedom, jazz, the wild game, free, play in the muse, and be Beans, memory, love, and be that thou art, strut in us as we bop to you, boppin', boppin', boppin'. I wonder what Ron would say about Ruby's beats with his words.
Oh, he'd love it.
This I also chose earlier, and it's by Dr. House from her book Medicine, Dr. Gloria House. Well, the medicine is published under Aneb Hosseili. And this is Wake for the Living Dead, which I also felt was, it's, even though the living dead is in the title and it's kind of not about someone dead, I just made that stretch and brought it into our kind of loose theme for the evening. Wake for the Living Dead. Before the linen closet now, her hands fumble among the smooth folds. Find a flat sheet. Down the stairs again, she throws the pale cotton over the couch. His body lies just inside the threshold, anesthetized in alcohol. 210 pounds of death resist her lifting. He staggers, dying again. Before the freezer now, her hands reach for ice, flip cubes into a dish towel. He rouses, sensing cold against his temples. She coaxes, please wake up. You have to carry your own weight. He lurches forward on hands and knees, buries his face in the fragrant fabric. She swings his legs onto the couch, covers him, backs away from the living room casket. Outside, the pavement under the car heaves relief. The lawn where he had fallen sighs and whispers him well and wishes him well. Neighbors leave their window blinds in peace, suck their teeth. The night air closes in on the front door. She turns the lock. Her bare feet meander about the house, absorb the cold of the hardwood floor. Finally, curl beneath her in the armchair, just opposite the sofa. She sits, stares at the shrouded body. Thank you all for this fabulous year. We've had like I think a fantastic run. It hasn't been without its ups and downs, but it's been a good lesson. It's been a journey. And I think we're gonna have some conversation now. So I'll pitch it back to the hosts.
Great. Who would like to comment, ask a question of our featured presenter, reader, multidimensional artist? Not seeing.
Do we have questions?
Mary, did you have your hand up? And John?
I just wanted to thank Ruby. I've known where she's gone on this long journey of getting us here tonight, and I'm just glad she kept the faith. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. I mean, you know, getting the go ahead is one thing, but then the work begins, and it's not just Ruby, it's the team. And we've got some interesting months ahead.
Well said.
Yes.
Hey, it's always interesting when it involves Ronnie.
So John also, I think, wanted to say something. John, are you muted? Unmute. You're still muted. Autumn, can you unmute John? Maybe I can. Ask to unmute.
There we go.
Yay, okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to say to Aether Detroit, really enjoyed your work, especially all those tributes to all those different people, some of whom I've had the pleasure to meet, and on a couple of them even get to know. In the up there in the corner of my picture, that's one of Ibn's, one of the pieces that he showed at Zeitgeist. I think he showed there twice, but that's for Cassandra and her sister. So that's Cassandra Wilson, and there's some other little clips of different people. But it was just an amazing piece of work of crayon, and he just managed to bring so much stuff together. And then when you did the piece for Kenny, it just sort of tied all of the different musicians who came through there at different times. as part of the shows, the different gallery shows we did. So that was really cool to hear some of those tributes. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. I enjoy I have a series on YouTube called The Living Graphic Novel that I'm working on now. And it's really an infinity project that I hope will go on, just like the Ron Allen project and Horizons in Poetry. And everybody that I've met over the years, including many of you here, you all are my superheroes. And so the Living Graphic Novel is like, it's like I'm in this world and all these superheroes are around, fighting for the causes of humanity in all the different ways that they do. And so I looked at it like, well, you have all your famous people that people like to interview and everything and whatnot. And I said, well, hey, let me write about the people I know. They're so great and dynamic themselves that, so many times they've inspired me. And so that's where that came out of.
Wonderful. Jim. And so he needs to be unmuted or needs to unmute. Jim, can you unmute? Is it?
Yeah, got it there.
Right.
Okay,
Wonderful.
yeah. I want to thank Ruby too for spearheading us. It's been great, coming alongside and behind you. Keep going. And Dr. Bleu, I'd like to hear you talk a little more about the effects of Ron on you. Like, what was the first moment in your relationship with him when you kind of went, whoa, my head just spun around on top of my skeleton.
Well,
the other
Ron, I met Ron through Samaj. And we were doing poetry at Mr. Muhammad's, and I met Ron. I met Ron in a hurricane of these heroes. I met Ron. I met Samaj. I met Farouk. I met and then everybody connected to Ron. I went to Ron's play. I think what really blew my wig back was Entertainer Zero Machine. That one just, I hadn't done any drugs or anything, but when I left out of that play, I was high as a kite.
You had done a drug called Ron Allen.
It just blew my wig back. And it was like, wow, I was like, man, where does this guy come from? And I always say we both had the same diagonal noses. And when I was ready to give up on a lot of life about challenges that I've had and he's had too, he showed me how to see it and use it to my advantage to help not only myself, but to help others to not only understand themselves, but to understand you as well. And I'd also like to say, I don't beat up on myself, but I didn't think I was worthy to be in this forum as a feature and whatnot. And Ruby asking me was a great honor. And what she's been doing, even when she asked me for the interview, I was like, of course, Ron Allen, are you kidding me? And the work that's being done with this project, anything that I could do to help is no problem for me. I'm all in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Malika?
Malika needs her, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys, Ruby, Dr. House, all of you guys for putting this program together. I mean, I'm not from Detroit, and I wasn't familiar with a lot of you guys, and I've just enjoyed the experience, meeting new writers and hearing your work and the whole Ron Allen experience. It's been wonderful. So I'm really thankful to have been a part of this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'm still finding more things out about you and the work that you do, your art. You know, I've been following Malika. It's
I bought her book. I
been
had to.
phenomenal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think
Jacqueline. Autumn, Jacqueline needs to.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I just want to follow with that. I was also very, very humbled when you asked me to be a feature on this, and it was a very great experience for me, and I really appreciated this series. And like Malika, I'm not in the Detroit area, but it brought me into proximity with a lot of other poets that I hadn't known before, and I really appreciate that. And thank you, Dr. House, also, and thank you, Ms. Woods, Dr. Woods. Thank you.
Oh,
Bye.
oh, now, some way, somehow, where did she find the doctor in me, which I do have, but you never know when people start looking at things on the internet, they find out all kinds of stuff about you. And I would like to honor that Dr. House is in the house with us tonight. Thank you for all of your mentorship and your activism and your just intuitive healing. It's you know, your touch is pervasive globally, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Absolutely. Autumn, can you help Dr. House get
I'm
on?
pressing the button.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you so much, Ruby. But let me say that all I did was pass the names of the Naomi Long Magid Award winners to Ruby. It's been Ruby's hard work that has produced the series, and it has been beautiful. And thank you so much for that, Ruby.
Well,
and it was so wonderful to see our Broadside Lotus Press lineup of, of poets, and to know that they're doing wonderful things, going on to do wonderful things. Thank you so much for reading the poem, Wake for the Living Dead, Ruby.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one that I go back to many times. I feel it.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
And thank you, Aether Bleu, long time relationship back and forth about poetry and everything else. So glad I could hear you this evening. Thank you again. Thanks to everybody. Enjoyed this.
Excuse me.
Well, I think, do we have a sign off?
Yes, we do. I think
Did someone want to say?
we're gonna sign off. Over to you, Walapi.
I would like to say thank you to Owolabi as well. He's been a wonderful host.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. He and Autumn have been 5 out of 5. Down with it. That's all right.
Well, thanks to all of you. I think that one of the things that you, in addition to Ruby and the leadership behind the scenes, everybody coming here, whether you came once or twice or 3 times or more than that, has made this a very special space. And we'll be back next year. So we thank you all for however you joined. And there will be a second series for 2023 Horizons in Poetry. If you join the Facebook page called the Ron Allen Project, you can get with it, stay up to date, keep in touch, keep in the loop. Or if you're not on Facebook, Aether mentioned some people may choose to opt out of these Well,
Bless you.
I don't know if you have an email, that's kind of opting out nowadays. But you can put your email in the chat, and we'll add you to the email list. And if you've opted out of email, then the word of mouth will have to get to you some other kind of way.
Yes, smoke signals.
Uh-huh.
And I would like to mention that one of my first cousins is with us tonight, and she's not showing herself, but she's been really she's been following the messaging, and I am so happy that she's with us tonight and listening. Thank you, dear.
That's beautiful. Horizons of Poetry has a YouTube page. It's beautiful to see the family and to see the invitations coming in. Almost at every session, somebody has brought some family members. So that's what's up. Horizons of Poetry has a YouTube page. If you want to check all the events from this year and access the playlist of vintage Horizons and Poetry videos and Ron Allen videos. Look out for the launch of the Ron Allen Project website in early 2023. So please stay in touch. We'll be back next year.
Yes, and to close, this event is made possible by the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation and supported by the Hannan Center and Kayrod Gallery in Detroit. So good night, all. It was really wonderful. Thank you.
Good evening.
The wall is Detroit. It is invading you with cellular truth. The sail is a grid, it bites. It tastes of rhyme. The rhyme is a tether, the tether is a word. The word is a prayer, it does not know itself. The rhyme is knowledge, it knows the grid of your mouth. Detroit lives inside. It is solid with industry. Smog is the image of the cell. It is billboard cool. We walk the High Point Casino real solid as your teeth. It breeds educated men and women who die at night. They live in the opening of the wall. The wall is their head in the grid of the day. They make love to its image. Its image is fear. They swallow it whole. They float on the surface. They smoke traffic lights and creep into millennium high on necessity. Their memory is a wound with 40-ounce dance sobriety. It is a weapon. There's death on the political grunts of boats. Her art cafe grunts, smelling of cheap flesh and Cadillacs. Communion at 6 p.m., the altar of time. We move like snake oil rhetoric against the grid. Its texture is boxed cheese. Time card rape, it sounds like money. Chance is stuck in the mouth of the city. A holy war of blue team prisons and collages of bullet love. The holy pride of steel. Jungle Rot movie-only mesh of jettison nucleus revolution. Storefront misery and little sister script. The knowledge of the wall like us is telephone tightrope hustle. Tricks of mythology and canned champs of quick grits and game. Hungry for mess sandwiches of luck. Tasting chance at the gold fin, the Coney Island beauty of deep sleep. We wait for light. Amen. The hole in your head is Detroit, a stop sign. Movement is skill and fried chance. Fast food prisons of sweat. The grid is rhyme and freeze of Mac money. Anger and rodeo pork joint boxes of meaning glean as paychecks. Lip wrap dances of gas farts, vanilla dreams, and black muscle mysteries of veins. Requiem for needles. Pride is the data brew. Lick at the bone of the grid. Wet with desire. Mickey Mouse country bars, multiple shots of rolls falling through the hole of supper to engage. Pedestrian Bible thumping midnight shift screaming jeopardy at the wind. Eyes Rolodex windows of glitter. The way home is scaling a hope. The naked chest of chance, the pork pie slow wit of God. Skin is the coffin slow shaking Monday dice. Aim for the top. The sleep, benediction. Chance is the road to Nirvana. Disc jockey spunk nerves of Sunday, the playground of Jesus. Wet cup messes of 5-star hotels, 10-cent orgasm of telemarketing heroes. The war roots and techno-themed landscape stage for policies of carcasses. Rusted wine on grid of the day. Images of strangled tans aborted at the mouth. Loose it! I pray to small. Loose it! I pray to small as chance.